Today we are going to be ranking all of the classes and specs in Season of Discovery, trying to give you guys the most up-to-date tier list as possible, seeing what's good, what's weaker, what are some of the best classes, and what are some of the classes that are going to scale incredibly well in the later phases. Although there are a lot of things that might be changing, including all of the nerfs and buffs that came out recently, including things like Paladins getting massively nerfed for retribution and priests getting huge buffs for their healing. Today we are going to take everything into consideration and try to give you as accurate as an assumption of how well these classes will all perform. And I gotta quickly say that everything is gonna change. Whatever we're seeing might be strong in this early phase is only level 25, but we have no idea how the classes are going to scale into the later phases. Level 40, level 50, level 60. And Blizzard doesn't even know how things are going to work out because they're trying to balance it and have everything be relatively OP. So just look at this with a grain of salt. Anything you hear from any content creator, any guides, anywhere, ever, everything needs to be taken with a grain of salt. But it doesn't hurt at least going in as knowledgeable as you possibly can be for what we know so far and what we think we can expect. All right. Frost Mage, how do you feel?
Frost, I would say, would be around A tier for me. I think it's going to do decent damage, but I don't think it's going to be top.
I think Frost Mage has a few things that make it really strong. Frost Mage gets Fingers of Frost. Let me see if I could just fingers. Yeah, all right. Frost Mage gets Fingers of Frost, which allows them to just act as if the target is frozen so that they basically get their increased crit chance. They get Icy Veins, which also increases your haste. I think Frost needs a lot more levels at 25. I think you have to go Fire or Arcane. I would like to put it in B tier. Not dumpster fire tier, but I think just the other mage classes or specs feel a lot stronger. And yeah, you might even still use burnout as well. That's for Frost. You're just getting 15% crit. Okay, right? Some of these runes, man. Here you go. By the way, here's 15% crit. Have fun. Everything costs 1% more base mana. Oh no. Yeah, they do get Ice Lance. They're gonna be crazy for PvP, but for PvE directly, if we're looking directly in a raid and situation for PvE, I think Frost goes into a relatively B tier right now.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But with that being said, I think Fire looks really, really strong. Fire and Arcane are looking like some of the strongest things. Arcane is both healer and damage. The only issue I could see the main issue I could see mages having is gonna be mana or hit percentage, right? Casters need hit against bosses. It's what, 17% hit? And the good thing about mage is for Arcane, you have one talent right now that gives you 10% hit. That's the most busted talent of all time. Each 1 point gives you 2% hit for arcane spells.
Yeah, that is pretty busted. And I mean, if we're still going off of Fire Mage worrying about mana, the nerf to Ret Paladins may have actually bumped them up a little bit because a ton more mana.
Yeah, agreed. Which is very, very good, right? The changes to Ret and enhancement, right, give you a ton more mana.
Yeah, I would put Fire in a solid S tier, in my opinion.
And then Arcane, how would you rate Arcane?
I think Arcane would be right next to Fire in S tier. I think it's going to be kind of the same issue with mana, but again, now that we're going to have a bigger mana battery, having Ret Paladins, I think it'll be right up there. I think that Fire will do more damage, like raw damage, but I think Arcane will be competitive with that.
I actually completely agree. I mean, we have yet to see the way Arcane Blast works isn't the same as the way it works in any other version of the game. Arcane Blast doesn't just get spammed to do more damage itself and cost more mana. It costs more mana every time you use a subsequent Arcane Blast, and then it buffs the other abilities that are arcane. So I think Fire looks really good. It gets some really fun runes. It's definitely a good, very solid class, I think, in the S tier for sure. Ret Paladin used to be in Giga Chad tier, and I like that whoever made this tier list thing was by the way, it's wheelchair, because it's wheelchair in every single version of the game. And as a Ret rogue main for almost most versions of WoW, it's always the slowest. Why are
Yep.
we so slow?
I mean, to me, for Rhett now, even after the nerfs, I still think Rhett is going to be an absolute pumper. I don't think it's Giga Chad tier anymore. I would personally have it as S, but I think it may still be above Mage, if that makes sense.
I think single target DPS for Rhett right now is still above Mage as well, especially with seal twisting. The big caveat I have, they took quite a large damage loss from in single target from losing how often they can use Crusader Strike, like 4 seconds to 6 seconds. It's only 2 seconds longer, but that's literally 50% of the entire CD. So you get to use it way less often. And if they change it so that Crusader Strike does not proc seals, they're gonna get really a lot weaker. One of the best things though for Paladins is the weapon they have access to, right? Like Ret Paladins in Classic never really got much of abilities anyways. They were auto attack simulator, and changing that with these runes literally already just changes them to be able to do things, which literally brings them completely, like their class is completely online kind of at this level already. So
yeah, and we're gonna have access to what's it called? Is it Varigan's Fist?
Yeah, Virgin's Fist. I've always loved Virgin's Fist. So you can grab that right away. And it's gonna be really strong. Yeah. So I think Ret are gonna be fun. You can still run around and delete people probably in PvP. You won't have like crazy crit rating, you know? And you can't Reckoning Bomb them yet, but you're having a great time.
Oh yeah, you'll have Wind Fury, you'll have your Casino, Crusader Strike, Divine Storm, Judgment. It's like a lot of buttons to press, honestly, for Paladin.
Which is so different from like what you used to have, where you literally had like nothing to press, right? Like you can exorcist anyone, right? You can exorcist any demons to crit them. Sorry, Warlocks coming in hot,
exorcism too. Yeah, yep.
We talked about this last week, but like the meta is honestly, and I really think this is probably going to be like have a macro where you swap to a shield really fast to Avenger's shield and then swap back.
Oh yeah.
It's that
little gap closer.
Yeah, exactly. And then I don't know with weapon swings if like Crusader Strike would then start a weapon swing timer, which is like a thing. Like when you would weapon swing as a rogue or weapon swap as a rogue, you would always do it right after a weapon swing, and you would weapon swap and use an ability right away, so you didn't feel like you're having much downtime. You would do like a similar thing with like weaving weapons, which is getting way more technical than probably most people need to know right now. I do want to say, Ashley West, thank you again for the super chat. Another one, which, wait, let me read this really fast. When you say busted out loud, they change things before we see it. I tried to make a tweet about that. I felt bad. I was like, wow, the Ret Paladin nerfs that went out and the Hunter nerfs, I was mid-editing of a video saying these classes are the too strong. Like I was like, these are the strongest classes, you know?
So you're solely responsible for the Ret nerf, dude.
Dude, there was a time in Wrath of the Lich King where every night I would make a video on something being busted, and then the next day they would nerf it.
I remember. I was watching all of your videos at that time.
Yeah, and every Discord was like, "Fuck this Sarthe guy," and I was like, "God damn it, I'm sorry." I didn't. They were already gonna. I promise it wasn't me. I tried to like ping someone on their team, and I was like, "You guys aren't just doing this 'cause I'm making these videos, right? You're not just trolling me right now." And the whole community, they're like, "No, all of these changes just happen to be coming out right after you made the video." I was like, "Okay, thank gosh."
Yeah.
But I'm glad the changes we got today, like the nerfs and buffs last night, happened when they did, because it like my class picking guide was coming out this morning. Remember, I messaged you right after yours came out yesterday morning, and I was like, I'm almost done with mine. I had to rework so many things in mine. Yeah,
I know. Yeah, that's the hardest part about this is like getting these videos out, and now all these changes happen. So I'm like, do I make an entirely new video, or do I go back and like pinning comments at the top like, hey, I would change this, I would change this, but it all of this is going to be changing so much that like, I mean, literally next week, something we talk about today could be completely irrelevant, but I guess that's just the fun of it, right?
Yeah, like Shadow being dumpster tier, Shadow could be Giga Chad next week. They could decide, Shadows, we don't love you right now, but we really, really love you. Homunculi looks like one of the most fun runes of all time. It gives you like 3 mini versions of yourself, and they put up like all of the debuffs that matter: armor debuff, armor or attack speed debuff, and one more. Why can't I think? Whatever. Shadow Priest does need love though.
Attack power, attack speed, attack power, and armor.
Yep, you're right. All right. Yep. How would you rate Shadow Priest? I feel like they are at level 25. They're in a rough spot. But I'm curious your take.
I personally, I don't know. I don't think anything is really dumpster, but they may be bottom B tier, in my opinion. Like, they're gonna do damage, right? But I don't think that they're gonna do competitive damage. Like, I honestly think Frost Mage would do more damage than Shadow Priest.
I think Shadow Priest is gonna have like crazy burst, and I used to have a level 29 Twink Shadow Priest because in TBC you could get the enchant Soul Frost at 29 from a quest in Altar or Arathi Basin that counted as a level 36 weapon. And I think they're gonna have like this really strong burst. Their issue right now is mana. If you're looking at it, their issue right now at this level is mana. And I know the ret changes and the enhancement changes, well, Shaman in general changes, really helps that. I don't know if it's enough yet. So I think Shadow Priests at this level are missing some things. One thing I think is really exciting is the idea that you can learn the other abilities that other like races get as a priest. That's like the big reason why you had to go Dwarf Priest for Alliance, so that you would get Fear Ward. And for Horde, like, I think Devouring Plague is so fun. It's so strong whenever you get to use it, but it costs like an insane amount of mana. Like an insane amount of mana. I like that Agron just said, just keep your head on a swivel. And that's like we were just saying, right? There's like anything we talk about, like the next day can completely change. I Shadow Priest's problem right now is most likely looking like it's going to be mana, but I think any class's gripes that we have, that's like what they're actively looking at, right? Like rogues have no cleave. I mentioned this in my video this morning, my class picking video. Rogues are the worst class ever for having the ability to cleave. They have a 2-minute CD that allows you to hit 2 targets. I think at the higher levels they change that, because every class, like Shadow Priests, are getting like a literal Mind Seer, which is a full cleave, right? And I don't think it hits super hard yet, but if you pull a lot of targets, it's really strong.
I guess for AoE damage, I think they would be not bad, but single target is where I think they would be bottom B tier.
Yeah, I agree. I think they go into this B, and the difference between all of these is really small here, guys. We're level 25. The difference between an A and S tier DPS is like 7 DPS or something. You know?
Yeah, like, see, that was the logic behind my tier list that I did, dude. That's why I did just like S, A, and like B. I think I was like, I mean, everything is gonna feel like good, you know, compared to what it was before, and everyone is gonna do damage. Like you said before, it's not gonna be like red pallies aren't gonna just be standing there auto attacking, right? So like these differences are not. They might not be that big, you know.
And we're here for like 6 weeks or something, right? Like it's like level 25 is so fast. Just play all the classes and like whatever the root of the class you really like, that you can use a lot more towards the higher levels, which I think is nice. On that note, though, I talk about Rogue, Assassination Rogue. Actually, interestingly, you will run Assassination Rogue if you're the Mutilate build, and then you'll run Combat if you're any of the other 2 builds. So Rogue, I think you can combine all of the Rogue and Combat and Assassination. You can just combine it as Rogue if we were looking at a tier list, specifically because the DPS differentials are really small. Although I do want to let everyone know that saw my Rogue guide, I went over all of the rotations and all of the specs. There was one thing wrong with the simulations, that it was counting Saber Slash buff or debuff on each spec, and that has been adjusted. Simonize is really fast at catching anything, and it's like an early version of the sim, so that's been adjusted. Rogue feels really strong single target. They have one rune that is like my favorite rune ever, but it has no support from any of the other runes, because if you use it none of your other runes are actually useful. And it is the backstab rune. Slaughter from the shadows reduces the energy cost of ambush and backstab by 20.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that feels so good, dude. Oh, it feels so good. This one feels so good, and it makes me so excited for the higher levels. I think exactly what Agrin just said in the chat. If anyone's just listening to this, don't chase the meta at 25. Play the class that speaks to you. So much is going to change between now and 60, and it's really now like what class feels the best to you. And this makes me so happy for Rogue as a Rogue lover. Like this feels so good. And then rogues have ranged kidney shot. They have a range slow. So if anyone ever gets out of your range, it's like, get back here, I got you. They have you have a
and you're gonna get that ranged kidney before 30, right?
Yeah,
you know. So
Rogue feels really strong as a Rogue player, and I've seen a lot of people say that they think Rogue feels weak, and Rogue feels so good. You know.
Yeah. I mean, where would you place it?
I think actually in single target damage, I think Rogue will be competitive as like one of the very top, but I can't tell if that's copium with like rose tinted goggles, right? So like I'm curious your take, because like I personally am like, get out of here, Rogue's the best. Not number one. Yeah. It's not like, especially earlier, it was like Rhett and then Hunter, and but like Rogue feels really solid. So I'm curious what you think.
Yeah, I mean, for single target DPS, definitely think they're going to be like almost leader of the pack. They're going to be up there, right? But like you said, like they lack the AoE, the cleave. So
yeah,
I don't know. I mean, because then you would take other classes, right? Like Rhett, Fire Mage, these classes that will have decent single target DPS and some cleave and a nice amount of AoE, right?
Yeah.
So those, in my opinion, would still be ranked higher because they have a little bit of both. So maybe Rogue would be like A tier or behind Rhett and Mage in S. But I think that the lack of AoE and cleave would be the only thing holding them back from being like true S tier.
I kind of like the idea of having, like, I'm like, what am I going to put in A tier anyways, right? Like, how else are people going to get mad in the comments if we don't have something in A tier? So
I mean, it makes sense, right? Their damage is like S tier.
Yeah, their damage,
single target, but without like cleave and AoE, there's got to be something to differentiate between like our mages and red paladins that do have a little bit of both, and right, and a decent amount of both actually.
Yeah, for sure. I think like overall, if we're looking at like overall generally, this is like a very solid like mages. Yeah, mages already have a ton of AoE, and we're level 25 again, right? Like these boss fights are like 2 to 5 minutes long. Some of them have cleave, some of them won't. I think rogues just, it feels nice, and it feels very genuine to the classic Rogue experience. As someone who, I used to min-max Rogue to such obnoxious levels, which it's so funny because it's such a small thing. Rogue has, you have Sinister Strike or Backstab, and then you keep up Slice and Dice, and then like you have your CDs with Blade Flurry and Adrenaline Rush. Like that's it.
Yep.
But uptime is huge. The difference between the top rogues and anyone else was really, really big. And I used to do like all of these podcasts where we would get together the guys. It's all the same people that we would always have like the top 5 in the world. We'd always get the top 5 rankings in the world, and you'd get all together, and like it's such small things. And now that we have Wind Fury for Alliance and Horde, this is a big thing, guys. Wind Fury procs reset your weapon swing, which means you have to track your weapon swings and use all of your abilities right after a weapon swing. That is going to be a small DPS thing at low levels. If it still happens, it's going to be a larger DPS thing at higher levels. That adds some skill to it. That's so fun. Yeah, so rogues,
and Wind Fury now is going to be a buff, right? There's nothing that indicates that it goes on your weapon like a Wind Fury totem.
It doesn't. You can use the sharpening stones, which give you hit percentage, which are crazy. You can use instant poisons. Wind Fury as a buff on druids made druids like feral DPS at this level, I think is weak, but they are just like, every group is like, give me the feral in my group,
Yeah.
Which
Feral's coming everywhere with me when I'm on my pally.
yeah, I guess we could talk about it really quickly. I think Feral DPS feels like it's in a less amazing spot at this rank level.
Yeah.
A lot of things is like you're missing a lot of your toolkit, your talents. It's hard to get like which talents you're going for. You grab Furor, which allows you to shift into cat form and like power shift, but you only get 40 energy instead of like having Wolf's Head Helm on top of that, which I actually have up on a different tab. So
yeah, and I mean, think about it, at level 25, like shapeshifting mana cost is like, I feel like you'd start running into like you'd probably be able to shift 3 or 4 times and then be
Yeah, you have issues there. You don't have Omen of Clarity. You don't have Ferocious Bite. You don't have some of your bleeds. I think Feral DPS are not in a great spot in 25. But the buff you bring is so great, and like apparently the Feral Discord has data mined like that you might even get like Tiger's Fury, which would just instantly give you a ton of energy, as well as there's apparently like a Thrash in the code that's an uncapped AoE.
Whoa, I did not see that.
I haven't actually even seen it, and I'm not even in any of the, well, I think I'm in a lot of the class Discords, but I don't really use Discord, but people kept pinging me about it. So I haven't seen it, and I didn't look, I didn't chase it. But if that's a thing, holy Shinokus.
Yeah, if that's a thing, that could change some stuff.
Yeah, so I'm very intrigued to see how would you rate it right now. I would personally, I guess, go into the B tier, but their buff is like Giga Chad.
Yeah, I'd say based off of the information that we have right now, right? Data mining Thrash aside, let's pretend we didn't hear it.
Yeah.
Just because of the buff, I would put them, like top of B tier. I mean, they could go bottom A, but I don't think they're going to come close to Rogues when it comes to single target damage. So I would say B tier.
I think so as well. I
just because it's like, and they're going to be absolutely like every group is going to want one, right? So
yeah, I literally you're going to fight for the Feral in your group. 1 second, let me check who I'm supposed to run with to Hunter really fast. So let me just get into the raid before I get in trouble. All right, we have to blast through this. We have 18 minutes because the guild, we're gonna break the world records again, just as memes, because we're just bored. So we just keep doing it on our splits. So let me just get into the group. Okay, all right. Yeah, so the Feral buff is only group wide, just like Wind Fury. There are some things that are raid wide. It looks like the Shaman and Paladin healing is raid wide. It's not even out yet, and that change happened yesterday, so I'm not even sure if that is. I have no idea. But on that note, Enhanced Shaman. How do you feel about Enhanced Shaman?
Enhanced Shaman. Let's see. Let me pull up my build here. I feel like Enhanced Shaman is going to be okay, right? It's going to be fun to play for sure, but I don't think it's going to really be competitive as far as like going into maybe like the Rogue tier. I do think Enhanced would probably be around B tier. Just because I do feel like, oh, hold on 1 sec here. I'm lagging out.
No worries.
Can you guys hear me?
I can hear. I actually heard you perfectly that whole time. It might be on your stream. Oh, can you hear me?
Say something?
I could hear you. I could hear you perfectly. La 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 la.
Again? Sorry. Oh, there we go. Okay. Wow. Everything just went black and then came back for like 10 seconds.
Interestingly enough, I could see you and hear you perfectly. I'm curious if stream could, but I was able to hear you perfectly.
Okay, everything's good now?
Yes. Welcome back.
Okay, yeah. All right. So yeah, Enhancement Shamans, I would put them B tier. Sorry, I know we got to speed this up a little bit.
No. I think Enhancement Shamans are very consistent damage. You don't have Wind Fury, obviously, but you don't need Wind Fury. I think it's very consistent damage. I think B tier is a good place to put them. I think this isn't like a B tier. It's just like not overpowered.
We'll have Wind Fury, right? If we have a Feral in the group.
Yeah, but they don't need to bring that buff individually, right? I think their damage can beat the Feral, but I think Feral bringing in the Wind Fury group makes them stronger. I think Enhanced like ramps up, like ramps later.
Yeah, I think Enhanced, we would put it above Frost Mage and Shadow Priest, in my opinion.
Ele Shaman. I think Ele Shaman DPS feels strong. I don't know if they had mana issues. yet, and I want to say we might get even a bloodlust eventually, but Ele Shamans are gonna obnoxiously delete people at level 60. It's I think, yeah, everyone has mana issues, and spell hit is an issue, right? Ele Shaman,
Yeah.
maybe I would put it, I guess, with the enhanced shaman also.
Yeah,
for
right
now,
under feral.
For now, if I'm just being fast, mainly because of the mana issues, I think you get a lot of cool spells. Lava Burst is awesome, and it makes it really fun. And you have a literal, there's one of these runes that overload that is a thing in later versions of the game where every one of your casts has a 1 in 3 chance of just casting another one for free. Like,
Oh yeah.
that's crazy.
Yeah,
The big issue is you don't have chain lightning, but sorry, go on.
Yeah, I was gonna say that is mainly why I would say Ele Shamans are gonna be not, more than just a little bit stronger at this level than enhancement shamans. Like overload is just actually ridiculous. And then you have lava burst and shamanistic rage to help you with mana, right? So I think they're gonna do some damage.
Yeah, you're gonna have a lot more fun. Ele Shaman at this level, the shaman at this level runs out of mana no matter what. Like shamanistic rage is gonna be essential, or water shield. But you'll run with shamanistic rage, get some mana back. It's gonna be very helpful. Balanced druids literally never run out of mana now. I don't think their damage is S tier potentially. I think they go into the A tier though, because they can't run out of mana.
Yeah, I agree with that for sure. Yeah, I mean, just being able to just spam Wrath forever without having to worry at all about mana right off the bat makes them better than B tier.
Yeah, like you can, for leveling, and this is the thing, like you're gonna just go into, like, once we're done with 25, which is over very quickly, you're just gonna level to 40, and to never ever run out of mana while leveling, and get and because their wrath costs 0, but it also procs their healing touch to be literally instant cast.
Yeah,
you'll never stop.
Yeah,
this is like the Giga Chad levelings. I mean, Arcane or Mages still are Giga Chad levelings, and Hunters get even better at leveling. But this is like, wow, this is super good. That's kind of crazy.
Yeah, when I first read that,
really
I was like, wait, did I read that correctly?
Yeah,
just doesn't cost mana. Okay, got it.
I was like, are you? Wait a second.
Yeah.
No,
they had to do a double take.
Wrath
for that one.
costs 0, reduces mana cost by 100%. I mean, technically, this is probably mostly meant for healers, but not really, because it is purely like Wrath. I don't know if at this level is your highest damage dealing ability. I anticipate it would do like 125 damage per Wrath, which is pretty significant. You could just, I mean, you're in PvP tournaments, which we're still trying to figure out. I'm still trying to figure out running this first PvP tournament a couple days in. Like druids are always about just like outliving everyone, and I think they'll be able to do that. You could just fight forever.
Yeah,
okay,
definitely.
Warlock was in this Giga Chad tier. Warlock DPS didn't get nerfed. Warlock tanking was in this Giga Chad tier. I don't think.
Yeah.
Crix loves to say that Warlock damage was in the Giga Chad tier. It's his birthday, so I can't say it's in dumpster fire. How do you feel about Warlock?
I would definitely say that like fire destruction is going to be a lot of damage, right? So I think if I had to take a look at, you have Lake of Fire, right? That's increasing your fire damage from you and your pet by 40% for 15 seconds, right? And then you can weave in Incinerates in there. I just think their AoE is going to be phenomenal. And I think that their single target is going to be good. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I think so.
Like, I think Rain of Fire might actually be like one of the best AoEs at level 25.
My only caveat for Warlock is, like, can you hit anything? That's it. Like, that's my caveat, right? I think Warlock is. I think I'm totally fine with Warlock going to S tier. I think their AoE, like a Shadow Bolt Cleave, hits 5 targets for like 90% of the damage or 80% of the damage. That's crazy. That's crazy. Their AoE is just bonkers city. And I think Affliction really doesn't feel very good right now, but it will as it like ramps and you get more things. Maybe it's not that it doesn't feel very good. It's just like gonna ramp. I think Destro, the Fire Destro build is up there. The the Warlock tank is always amazing. I want to put Demo down here just so that if someone ever sees this and screenshots it, they can get mad at me. Yeah. So
So S
yeah.
tier, you'd agree?
Yeah, I do agree with all my chagrin. I do agree. Fury Warrior, you want to know the interesting thing? I think Fury Warrior is insane. What are your thoughts? I'm just choosing Warrior as DPS. Arms and Fury. I'm just I think if you play it correct,
look at it as a whole.
I think if you play it correctly with the new Wind Fury and you play with like the runes like I showed earlier, if you play with like runes, like if you go a DPS warrior, and these runes weren't even my idea. This is very similar to what I was running on the beta. I even thought you would run Flagellation, Consumed by Rage, and Single-Minded Fury, and I think you're just going to be, if you're playing around that 80 energy, 80 rage, they're going to be super, super, super strong. Fury Warrior also, just like, this is going to be the hardest thing for the classic team to do, is just tone things down.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, and you got to think about it. You'll have decent single target damage, right? Especially if you're heroic strike queuing.
Yeah.
And you have cleave right at this level, so you're going to have decent AoE cleave for trash packs and things like that. And then, yeah, like most of this just raw damage buff. So I would say S tier.
Where in the S tier would you rate them?
I would put Fury.
Ooh, indeed.
I don't. Oh man, I don't know if I want to put them above Ret Mages and Destrolocks, but they might actually be.
I want to do it just because I know people are gonna go crazy about it, and then I'm doing it. I'm sorry. All right, if anyone gets the blame, it's me, not Hammer Dance. I'm doing it because it's hilarious.
The top of S tier right now.
I thought Warrior was going to be terrible early on. It felt very weak. It feels bad about the rage generation, but I think if you play it correctly, it's going to be really, really strong. And also getting the hit from your 4% hit from the BFD sharpening stones. I think they're going to be middle of the pack in PvP. Really, they don't get that much good other than Warbringer right now in PvP, but I think I think you're actually going to be surprised. I think you can never discount the Fury Warriors in Fight Club. They figure it out. I feel like I thought it was going to be ramps later tier, and I think it might actually end up being really good. And I think this is the hottest of hot takes.
Yeah, no, I actually completely agree with you. Like you said, also you're getting 4% hit from the stones, right? And then if you go leatherworking and craft the physical DPS gloves,
yep,
you get another % hit right there. And I'm pretty sure
heroic strike Q, right?
Yeah. And what's the on use with those gloves? Was it 10 attack speed?
10% haste, dude. It's wild.
Yeah. That's pretty nutty. So yeah, I think Fury is going to be a lot better than we thought, or arms, whatever.
Yeah. I think I'm just raking it all together as DPS, and I'm sorry guys, just because of I've like 5 minutes. Okay, and that just leaves us with Hunter. Oh wow, that just leaves us with Hunter. Hunter was up here, sitting up here with Ret Paladin, sitting like, hey, we're Giga Chads and we can kill anything. and then Blizzard watched the video I was editing yesterday and was like, suck it, bro. Instead of 30% crit, you get 10%. Instead of 25% damage, you get 15. And I think they're still S tier. Thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, we're just looking at them as a whole, right?
Yeah.
Every spec.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would definitely say Hunter is still S tier. Like you said, we got sniper training. Only works on your shots, right? So it's not autos.
Yep.
So it's not that big of a difference. And then what was the other nerf we had here? Let me look at it.
Lone Wolf. But Lone Wolf got nerfed down from 25% to 15%, but you couldn't really run this unless you were the second Hunter. Yeah,
exactly.
And then
and I think that there's going to be multiple Hunter specs that are viable, right, in S tier. Like I feel like even Beast Mastery might do really well.
And I think I really think we're gonna have some sort of support towards, like, even right now there is support towards melee weaving. And Carve is a literal uncapped cleave. Don't change this, please, guys. This is crazy. This is wow. Wow. FYI, Wowhead Talent Calculator has the updated versions. Oh, guys, you know what's gonna be crazy? Imagine if some of us here are gonna write for Wowhead. would that mean we're bad at the game? Yeah, all right. Well, I can't give them Wowhead. You can't get too much publicity for free on our podcast. Get out of here. Pay me. Yeah, I think I'm rating it S tier in my personal opinion. There's people talking about traps being no longer needing to be out of combat, but I don't know if that's true. I don't know if that's true. How would you rate Hunter?
I would definitely put Hunter. It kills me to say this, but I definitely think they're going to do more damage than fire destruction warlocks, right?
I think so too. They can't. Hunters don't miss, right? And Destro locks. Where's your hit coming from? You have
exactly, and I also think the same. I don't know. I feel like they would do better than fire, but then if we're basing it off straight hit, then Arcane would be higher than fire on my list, in my opinion, right? So maybe it goes like Arcane, Hunter, Fire Mage, Destro lock.
Oh, but I think fire will still. I think fire might be able to eke out Arcane because fire also gets a free 6% hit, which is like
that's true. Right.
Pretty like hit rating in Classic World of Warcraft for anyone that hasn't played Classic in a long time is one of the strongest. For almost every class, it is literally the strongest stat until your hit cap, and spellcaster hit cap is ridiculous. Do I have everything I need? Yeah. Okay. All right. Cool. I have my pets.
Yeah. So I would say let's put Hunter above fire destruction locks, but below mage.
Okay. Makes
perfect. Sense.
Yep. All right. Well, in that case, there it is. If you're happy with this, I'm very happy with this, mainly because I'm worried about having to go
again. Hopefully, this could change next week. So
this totally can change next week. Mages don't have like ignite stacking yet, or do they? I don't even know. Doesn't matter right now because we have to go. Fury Warriors S tier. You heard it here first. If they're not, if they are, that's gonna be hilarious. That's kind of a shot in the dark, but it's also me being like, never discount Warriors, and I think they can figure things out. They ain't S, no shot. Rockman says they ain't S, no shot. If he's wrong, he has to do the entire Hot Ones challenge. And if I'm wrong, I have to do the entire Hot Ones challenge. This list was only mostly cringy. I agree. And all of these things are probably going to change before we even see the game. I love you guys. Hammer Dance, tell everybody where they can find you, where they can watch all your videos.
Yeah, guys, you can find me on YouTube at Hammerdance Gaming and on Twitch at twitch.tv/Hammerdance. This was a lot of fun, so hopefully we'll do this again soon.
Yeah, we will. We'll do once they change everything after watching this, and they're like, "Ha, suck it! Now Demo Lock's the best." Then we'll do another one, guys. Sorry for the rush. I do apologize for that. It's just timing and stuff. But happy Thanksgiving to everybody who's from NA and stuff, and I love you guys. And Hammer Dance, thank you so much for taking the time today. I really appreciate it. And shout out to your grandma who came over to watch your son so we could do this.
Yeah, thank you, man. Yeah, and happy Thanksgiving, everybody. I love being on the show, so it was a lot of fun, man.